talking to a friend of mine who's a paramedic, he runs the Patton ambulance. Piscataquis County, which we have gone into the upper end of that before, but the Holton Barracks is doing better at getting them to do the Penobscot County, but Piscataquis is refusing to pay the subsidy like Aroostook County pays the subsidy for us to cover part of it. And he said their council has said, no, you don't respond there. Well, that goes from, to put a border, Kimcus, Bumtocook, and Pleasant Lake and all that are in Piscataquis County. And then it goes all the way down past Millinocket. So you could see us getting called for those, I think, because they're gonna refuse them. I'm thinking Millinocket will cover up, but we don't know. Right now, they're told that they're not to go to Piscataquis County. So I could see us getting called ambulance-wise, more so than fire, but we've been called into Penobscot County off from Grand Lake Road.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, but Patton's been getting them lately because Holton's figured it out better. So they come up, but they only cover up to Knowles Corner.
On 212.
On to 212, we cover down 212 a ways and then up. And then all probably a mile, a couple miles in, up. But anything beyond that, to the west is Penobscot. Holton's getting better at that, but I don't know what's gonna happen when something happens to Piscataquis. We've been to, up in those lakes before.
So if there's a
We've
car,
been to Ken Foster Bumtocook. We actually sent an ambulance up there. I get Fraser's helicopter and we flew in and then brought a patient out that way,
but that means on car accidents will have to go.
Who was
You know.
covering that before? Patton?
Patton was covering it, but they're not, because they've tried to create a contract with them and they won't. Wow. So I don't know how you guys feel about
It's
it.
even closer for Holton, it's only 20 miles. to
Yeah,
Knowles Corner.
but Holton only covers Holton. Holton Ambulance Service covers only Holton. They don't cover any of their outlying towns anymore. Southern Aroostook, which is based in Holton, covers all the surrounding towns. Actually, Patton just got some back from them because they were covering all the way down to almost Island
Knowles
Falls.
Corner, he's 31 miles, the Knowles Corner.
So it was, look
Gotta
at it,
go further.
yeah, it'd be, yeah, just like Aroostook County,
Yeah,
just, or,
Yeah.
pays us for covering.
Yeah.
Wood.
so I don't know what you guys wanna plan.
Mr. Sergeant Schreiner, how far do they go? They don't go that far.
You know where the turnaround is?
They stop before that, don't they?
Yeah, 7, quarter, 7 and 8, is it?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think-
So we can look into it then.
I mean, just be thought that call might come in and we may end up going, because we don't know where we're going. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
where the
of course.
border is. So that's just kind of some of the things that I just found out the other day.
Maybe have some special Patton, kind of some backstory on it.
That's not good.
Right. Because we should not be servicing areas that we're not funded to service.
You know, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it was a big deal down off from Lincoln, and that would hit the paper bad, because everybody refused, and G&H, Glenburn, and somebody came up all the way up to Lincoln and took the call. That was in the paper, but nobody can sue anybody, I guess, from what I've heard. I think there might be a couple out there still trying to.
You have to be part of our service area in order for us to technically cover it. Yeah, we can provide mutual aid to the other towns, but
But we
we
don't even
can't
have
take
to
away from
take
our
part.
town
Right.
to provide the mutual aid, so legally you can say no if it's not in your service area. Morally, would you want to? I doubt it, but.
Well, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, with taxes the way they are, and funding the way it is, and there's several things that morally we could or could not do that. I'm sorry, I got off topic, but we'll address that when it comes to it.
Yeah, I mean, like, Holton doesn't seem to, you know, and they just cover their, it's the same thing, we just have certain service areas we cover, and we can't just keep going further and further out. But thanks for bringing it up, then.
Yeah, it just, something that had just come up to me.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to, did some research, I guess, into some possible grants that are available for the town on a federal level,
Okay.
for the fire department and EMS shortfalls, I guess, that we discussed in the last meeting. I'm not sure when the programs open up. I believe it's the first quarter of but there's an AFG program, Assistance for Firefighter Grants, that will cover SCBA equipment as well as
Yeah,
vehicles.
it opens up in September, I
Yeah.
believe, for this year.
So you guys are familiar with it?
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up. in
We've
case
applied for it
nobody's
4
interested.
times, got it once.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it's a heck of a program, but the stan.gov, it's,
It just keeps getting worse.
yeah, sure.
More difficult, I should say, the paperwork.
But I know that was a big concern at the last
Yeah.
meeting, so,
Thank you.
don't give up, keep applying.
Yeah, we found one, but it was open for 4 days, and we didn't get it in time.
Yeah, they got a current, program, it's, I think it's ending in July 3rd, it opened up May 25th, and that's for hiring more firefighters in EMS, and they'll pay for them.
Yeah, the Safer Grant or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that's part of the safer program.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. Have anything else?
No, nothing else.
Thank you.
Rifle Road looks great.
Evidently, you don't live on Red Hill Road.
He does.
I heard that
He
it's
does.
like.
Well, I live at the very end of it, so.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Far enough down to know that, what you're talking about.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, so no more business on the floor, we'll move on to agenda item number 1, review, approve, and sign minutes from the May 13th, 2025 regular meeting.
Make a motion that we approve and sign the minutes from the May 13th, 2025 regular meeting.
Any discussion?
Did you find something in it? No, no, I just had a question.
All in favor? Okay, item number 2, review, approve, and sign 2025 treasurer warrants 19B through 22B.
Make a motion that we approve and sign the 2025 treasurer warrant.
Any discussion on the warrant? All right, all in favor? Okay, new business, item number 1, review 2025 certified ratio declaration, and so Josh.
I asked Josh of RCS to come and speak with you guys tonight on behalf of that. We need to do the certified ratio declaration form for the main revenue service. The town of Ashland has not made a market adjustment since the revaluation in 2021. So Josh can give you a little bit more information on what he thinks the best option is for us at this point in time.
Thank you very much. Josh Berry, RCS Assessment Services. We just wanted to fill you in on where the state of Maine is got the town graded as far as their assessments are concerned this year, which is going to be based on the 22-23 sales. They run 2 years behind on their assessment analysis. They're coming in 79%, so the way it works, the state, looks at all the town's assessments, says, okay, your $100,000 selling homes are only being assessed at $79,000 is basically an easy way to look at it, throughout the town. You know, some are gonna be higher, some are gonna be lower, but on average, things are selling, the assessments are at 79% of what the market value is for Ashland. The town does allow, or excuse me, the state does allow the town to adjust that up and down, roughly 10%. It varies a little bit, but they would allow the town to adjust up to 87% if you so choose. You could also go down. Some towns decide to go down. They feel like they can play a game with state valuation and reimbursements, which is not something I would recommend doing. But where you sit right now, you can certify at 87%. So certifying at 87% would basically, a good way to look at it would be the state is only gonna allow 87% of the reimbursements that they're going to give you. So your $25,000 homestead exemption is gonna drop to $21,750. That's kinda how they calculate that. The town does have an option to make adjustments to the assessments annually, which is what I'd like to discuss with you tonight, a little bit more in depth. We would recommend whatever adjustments would be to get to 100%, and the board could decide what that would be. I'm projecting about a 15% increase townwide if we wanted to certify at 100% this year. So, it's not uncommon when there's years that you don't make adjustments, especially after a revaluation. It can creep up on you pretty quick, but I would recommend we start doing something. The overall tax implication, doesn't necessarily mean everybody's tax bill goes up 15%, you know, based upon the valuation. That's really driven on budgets and revenues and that sort of thing, so the valuation is just one part of it, but without making any adjustments, if your budget stayed flat, your revenue stayed flat, folks would see an increase in their tax bill just because of the loss of homestead exemption.
So, go ahead.
So what's the current, is it 79% or 87%?
Currently it's 79, but the state allows you to adjust up or down right around 10%, so we could certify at 87%.
What, it's 79% now? So we
Right.
could adjust up to 89%?
So we could adjust up to 87, so it's not an exact dollar for dollar percentage
Not
adjustment.
10%.
No.
I see what you're saying, okay, I got it. So this is saying certify, and then you said something about certifying to 100%. But that's not something we can do today, that's gonna take
2 years.
some years.
No, we could do it right, so I can fill this out and say the town is going to increase assessments 15% this year, and they would allow us to certify at 100%.
Then we could adjust the mill rate, and the mill rate could go down, correct, Jim?
I don't know, but my math's not that great, so you say that we're 79%,
So,
Stan,
yeah.
the state
Yeah.
says we can adjust up 10 to 15%, which doesn't get us to 100%.
No, they will allow you, without making any changes, they'll allow you to adjust up to 87%.
Okay.
With a 15% adjustment, the 79% would go up enough where the adjustment they'd allow would hit 100%.
Oh, I see. So they still give the taxpayers 100% of the homestead?
Correct. Yeah, so we don't bring everything up to 100, we get to that 90 to 91% where the state then says, hey, that's close enough to 100, we'll give it to you.
So 14 or 15% gets us to 90 or 91, that's where the math fits
It's
in.
that new math, and then
Okay.
it's the ability of the state to do what the state wants to do and adjust.
This is not an easy
That's
thing to
basically-
explain,
but
there's a lot of
basically,
numbers and.
That's okay, when you throw math out, I always get confused, but I understand the fuzzy math now, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to be correct, like,
You answered my question.
you still have that buffer to move up and down.
So if we go up to the 15% certify, where we haven't set our mill rate yet, would that allow us to adjust the mill rate, so essentially the taxes won't go up, and they'd be on par to where we were initially thinking?
Yep, and that's where you look at your revenues and expenses, because that's really the driver. So last year, we went up almost 20% in Heartland, no changes, revenue expense, and it was less than a 1% net increase on their tax bill. So there's a bunch of different things that can account for that.
Which is probably offset by a homestead exemption that they get more of.
That's right, so, yeah, so if you don't do anything, and everything stayed equal, tax bills would go up just because of the loss of homestead. And then your reimbursement on tree growth reduces, so anything you get from the state would go down.
But we also can't continue to do nothing.
And if you, right, so then if we don't do anything this year, then next year, it could be even
A
worse.
bigger and bigger and bigger
Yeah.
spread the longer we wait.
Yeah,
And we can, you said we can go up 15% by recertifying.
yeah.
So the state, sorry to go over again.
No,
But
No.
the towns can go up go up or down 10%, within 10%,
Mhm.
whatever they choose.
Yeah.
But if you
So-
want to go more than that, you have to recertify?
Well, you then have to make adjustments to the assessments. So they're basing
Okay.
their percentage on where the town sits, based on their 22-23 assessments.
Okay,
So if we say we're gonna go up 15%, and our ratio is now gonna be, internally, it's now gonna be at 91%, the state will say, okay, you can certify at 100.
okay.
So we're not going all the way up 25%, so that everybody, internally, we're low 90s.
Do you guys get that?
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to do that.
Yeah, so,
So we need a motion for that, don't we? I'm gonna try something and you tell me if I said it wrong,
it's right
okay?
here.
Write it as it is?
Yeah, I think so.
A motion, yep, I would like to make a motion to make the required market adjustment to have a 100% certified ratio of assessed value to just value in the 2025 tax year. There we go.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, items 2 and 3, I understand are tabled.
Items 2 and 3 are tabled. There was some more information that came in, so we've got a little bit more research to do to correct these, to get better figures.
You want just a motion to table them?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we table items 2 and item 3 until next month.
I've said,
Oh, yep. I was just going to do business, thank you.
And I still second it.
all in favor? Okay, item number 4, update authorized users on credit card account.
So now that Wendell's retired and we have Macy in place, we just need a motion to remove Wendell Farr as an authorized user on the credit card account and add Macy Elwell as an authorized user on the credit card. So we give her own card.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Old business. Fire department equipment update.
At the last meeting, you guys asked that we find the funds to purchase 2 of the requested SCBA's, which was a total of $20,730. The fire department safety equipment purchase expense account has a balance of $8,000 budgeted for 2025. Their equipment, the fire department equipment reserve, which are council designated funds, has a balance of $2,954.08. And then the general council designated funds line item of new equipment reserve has a balance of $51,102.33. I recommend a motion to approve utilizing the $2,954.08 from the fire equipment reserve account, with $7,410.92 from the safety equipment purchase expense account, and then the other $10,365 from the new equipment reserve account to purchase 2 new SCBA's for the fire department.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, item number 2, fire department rescue truck replacement.
So the dog life equipment was temporarily moved to the pickup. Tyler and Chris both went and looked at the unit number 7 that we had previously discussed. holding that and not trading it in on the new ambulance and transferring that over to the fire department. They both agreed that the best plan would be that we keep that vehicle and utilize it as a rescue truck instead of trading it for $7,500 towards the new ambulance. Autotronic says they'll give us $2,500 for trading the old rescue truck that we're taking out of service as a replacement. There are no funds in the fire department budget for this, the $5,000 difference. We do have council designated funds, the new equipment reserve with a balance, which now would be $40,737.33 after your last motion. So I'd recommend a motion to approve utilizing the $5,000 from the new equipment reserve to retain ownership of ambulance 7, which will replace the fire department rescue truck that will now be traded to Autotronic.
Any discussion?
Seems to be the most efficient use of what we have in our resources, to at least buy us more time.
Right.
So we can get, plan, change. All right, all in favor?
Thank you again.
Thanks for working with us. All right, item number 3, review and approve planning board's recommendation regarding the wind energy moratorium.
Planning board is making progress on their wind energy ordinance. They've recommended a 180-day extension to the current moratorium so we can continue working on the ordinance.
Any discussion?
So this is the last extension?
Yes, that's the impression I was under, they
Right,
had
yeah.
one more extension.
Right, okay.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, managers report.
I don't have a whole lot this evening. Staffing update, Macy was hired as our new rec director. She started on June 2nd. Uncle was kind enough to take her to the area rec directors meeting so she could be introduced to all the other directors. She does have a draft of the full summer of events, and we've brought that into the school, working with Joel to see what he can provide for coverage as far as buses and drivers, while we work to get her license as well. Also working with Joel on the truck that Lucas mentioned at our last meeting. May have been a little bit quick on that one, so we're working through a process. He has to get to the end of this budget before he can make a final decision and we can move forward with that. The Aroostook Valley Solid Waste Disposal District, our auditor found that since we're 80% owner in the district, they're considered a financial component unit of us. Therefore, when we present our financials, we need to present their financials alongside of ours. This was never brought up from prior audits. In talking with Fred, it sounds like it may have happened when Oxbow became unorganized, and then we got a bigger percentage share of the district. So what that means is it is holding up our audit because they haven't had an audit in 2 years. So I've reached out to Fred, he's working to get an update on a time frame from their auditor. They did select an auditor and they are moving forward, it's just our hands are basically tied until theirs is done. And then we had all discussed in the past the gravel pit and their inert material. I found that since our gravel pit is not 5 acres or greater of active gravel pit, we don't actually need the inert material. We don't have to actively reclaim at this point based off the size. But we agreed that the transfer station employees can still utilize that area, bring the inert material there. Our staff will bury it and do as needed at that point in time, but we won't be responsible for going there and getting it and hauling it for them. And everybody was in agreement that was an acceptable plan. Subsidy updates, Portage agreed to present our proposal to the citizens for a vote on library and rec subsidies. They're voting on the 18th. And then Garfield is actually voting tomorrow night on potentially utilizing our police force. And then I just, with it being the last full week of school, Chief Montague and I were both asked to help participate in the field day at the school on Friday, so we'll be up there helping out with those events.
I ain't going on.
They're going out.
It sounds like fire department, are they gonna be up there some too?
Why not?
But we always.
You guys today, because I had kids that said they were volunteering with fire department.
They love we put the ladder up, and we run a hose from the hydrant on top of the hill to keep it going. And they sprinkle and they play in that even if it gets cold, and when it shuts off, they're mad. It seems to be the hit of the,
You'll love that, you'll love that, yeah.
some kids would actually just sit there underneath it and sit there. Don't leave. They like it that much. We did it in cold one year and they still did it. I think a bunch got sick that year.
So we all need to hope for warm weather on Friday.
Well, thank you. That's all I had.
That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Rising, you have anything?
Got a couple of things. One, I appreciate the chief's report. I would make a suggestion that maybe the manager have each department head give at least a quarterly report of kind of what's going on, like the rec center schedule and what the highway department's doing on roads, do that for the council, so we know what's going on, citizens know what's going on. That alleviates some questions. And I'd also ask the town rep on the transfer station come at least quarterly to update us on what's going on. What's going on at the transfer station. And I'm used to that rep coming to a council just to inform us what's going on since we've owned 80% of it. So those are my two comments this evening. Thank you.
Neil, do you have anything?
I don't.
He already reported on Mike's report, I wanted to, but
That was my. Thank you, Mike, for the report.
can I ask Mike a question?
Absolutely. It's your report.
How did the truck go today?
Very good.
It was good?
Everything seems
Because I hadn't gotten any report from that
No.
yet.
Hopefully that's okay.
I expected a phone call all day, but I didn't get it.
That's good. No news is good news.
If people don't know, they had some transmission issues in the new cruiser.
4,800 miles and
5,200 miles. I hauled it over to Terrell's on Sunday morning, and they had it done last night. We picked it up this morning.
yeah.
Because it's an emergency vehicle, they expedited it.
Pete Gildy
Something
drove
with
it
the valve
that
body
day, so he's
separator
not
and
hard
check
on
valves.
me.
They'll have dates. So, knock on wood.
Luckily, it wasn't a back order.
Yeah.
It was, but
I
they expedited it because
Yeah.
of being an
Oh, that's
Emergency
nice.
vehicle.
So if you have a problem, it's gonna sit there.
Not put stickers on it.
Yeah.
So do you wanna sign up as a reserve officer, maybe?
That's all I have.
I had something I wanted to talk about with, Ms. Lara Subsidy. We did meet with them and talked. We haven't heard anything back, one direction either way. I had sent them the letter that I shared with you guys, and we gave them, the deadline of June 15th, mainly because they didn't pay the full price last year, so what I wanted to bring to you guys is what do you want to do on June 15th? Which would be Monday.
The letter said that we weren't gonna serve, right?
Yep.
At least for the short term, I think we gotta follow through with the letter that we sent. That's not any fun though.
No,
There's
it's
no
Jim and I-
joy in that at all. It's hard and awkward.
So we had some discussion, Jim and I and Alicia, about this, and we decided we should talk about it. So there's, instances, we have the ACAT,
It's like for computer training, right?
so that room there, is that allowed, or?
I do have an update on this.
Okay.
Jenny Doles, Nancy and I met with her yesterday. She came up to show us the equipment because neither of us are familiar. And we went over all the programs and basically the equipment, and after 5 years, it gets it to the town and stays there. They just have set meetings. So a Thursday, like the first Thursday, Wednesday, don't quote me on the exact date, but there's like 3 different times. They would hope that it would be open to everybody. I know we discussed Bone Builders as well. Bone Builders is not their program, it's not affiliated with Agency on Aging. So it would be just Agency on Aging access point meetings that happen within the conference room. Would be separate from anything else in the building.
I'd be okay with, allowing that, but we just kind of need to
We need to
make it
know.
black and white and.
It is also anybody who can use the facility can also use that equipment and set up meetings if it's available. So our planning boards, or, you know, if there's another organization within the community that pay into this facility, if there's time open, they're able to use that equipment and have meetings there as well. So I guess that would be kind of an added benefit to the other communities, that they have access to this technology.
So how does that work? The dumb question is, how does that work? So somebody shows up at the library, and they're from Asardis. Do we meet them at the door and say, where's the officery, or how that?
I was thinking we'd put a sign up, but I mean, you should, we're not the bad guys here, we're trying to.
No, I know we're not. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure out, because I don't wanna put Hillary or Macy in a bad place either, because
I think we should have pictures.
there we go.
Don't let it.
You know, it's not the public comments, but why couldn't you, maybe the first time let them come in and then tell them, look, you need to go speak to your council people, your selectmen, because they're the ones that have made this choice and we can't let it happen anymore.
We can't tell
I mean,
them
it's sad,
to go
but-
back to the little kids, so-
I know the kids, but I'm talking
Can
more
I
of the
say
adults.
something?
Go to the chair.
I'll allow you since you are the librarian.
My biggest concern is what about the kids who get notes from their parents to take the bus to the library or the rec after school and their parent is not present? What are we supposed to do when they show up at our door and everyone else is running in to do the activity and we have to tell them, no, you have to sit out here? Because first of all, we don't have the staffing to sit there with another person alone, so
Yeah.
they can't do the program. I just don't know how you want us to do that.
Do you have when they get a library card, do you have their address? Things like
Yes.
that? So we
But
could
then that
potentially
comes
mail
into the-
letters and at least let them know.
You let them in the first time, you send a letter, but at the end of the day, you take, the safety of the kids is paramount. So it's a gray zone, it's like, we have police officers who are out there because you've got gray areas. We know it's, there are gonna be some gray areas and some learning curves, but one of the things I got from the Sardis meeting was, the only people who showed up at the town meeting are people who didn't use it. So my thought is if we shut it down like we said we're going to, and the people don't show up at a town meeting or get all their select board members, then it's not important to that community. And that's, because right now, the taxpayers in Ashland, who I represent, who I'm responsible for, are paying for that. And that's why I don't have a problem shutting them out, because they're using what my taxpayers are paying for without paying for that service.
But on another note, I've had Masardis residents come into the library and tell me that they have gone to their council and they don't listen to them, and that these people are still willing to pay for the service because they're not being listened to.
That's their issue, that's not ours.
So, Ms. Cyrus did tell us that there's nobody there to vote for the library and the rec center at their town meeting.
They have to go to the meeting.
So they have to go to the meetings, but like I said, I sent the Cyrus a letter, letting them know that basically Monday,
Yeah. It's like a decision.
they would be cut off.
So, we will monitor this and see how to do it right. I mean, we haven't done this before, but that's the intent. You gotta start somewhere, unfortunately.
Could we write up something for Hillary and, is it just the library, it's the library and rec? So can we write something up for them that they have that has not their names on it, but our names on it?
Yeah.
That, says that, yes, we provided this service today, but we won't be able to provide it going forward, so that when the child leaves with the parent
Right.
after that one time, and maybe in the letter it needs to say something to the effect of, we want to provide these services, but they would have to pay, not the individual, but the town would need to pay their share of the subsidy.
Right.
So that would be in the letter, and that way, so we wouldn't be sending, the child that gets off the bus would be safe, they would participate that day, you'd have to know you sent them home with a letter, and then they don't get off the bus again. You know what I mean? And there's some books to come back in, I'm sure, because some of your avid readers are are Miss Artist. I've seen Tom Wood quite a few
My
times.
name comes up in my head.
That's the one I was thinking of,
Two or
so
three
that's,
days, or
That's
one
the
week.
one who talked to the council, he said multiple times.
So could we ask the manager to work with the two department heads, draft a letter for the chair to look at, and if the chair and the manager are happy with that, just go ahead and bring it.
yeah. That way they have something.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to ask a question, or am I not?
It's up to the chair.
Since you don't have a library board, as far as I know, if you had a library board, if that was something that somebody wanted to go back to and start, maybe that might be a help on this, as far as finding this problem project.
But one thing if I might, one thing we offer both municipalities is if they paid the subsidy,
Right.
they would have a seat at the budget committee and have a vote on that portion of the budget, at the budget committee level.
I see.
So we've offered that, which I think is probably, I think they would like that more than having someone on the library board. Cause it's hard to get, as you may know, it's hard to get volunteers to do things like that in a small community. Being on the budget committee, then they can say, well, why are you spending this on
Yeah.
this line? We don't want it because our taxes will go up. So
Right.
we've offered that to both Masaris and Portage Lake if they pay the subsidies.
My opinion also is, today, I went to Fort Kent to take a computer course. I got a free computer from our library in our town. I've taken phone courses to learn to my phone. And I've never, I'm gonna say this honestly, I had a child who's a reader, made a difference in this community. I've never seen so many kids having so much fun, and I've never seen, the buddy system, kids reading to kids. I've never seen parents so damn happy. I don't know about the ones that aren't happening there, but I can tell you one thing. We have a very positive library, and people are dying to get in. And if these people don't wake up, they're gonna miss something. And I'd be the first
Yeah.
person to say it.
Yeah, and then I'll do a disclaimer, I did read, Hillary, for some reason, coaxed me, no, Hillary asked me to read a couple books to
Yes,
kids
they
after
loved
school,
it.
and they loved it, they had a great time.
Yeah.
It took maybe 20 minutes of my time,
Yeah.
and there's some really great programs.
Actually, we've been praising the library a lot.
No,
We know how
yeah.
wonderful it is and what Hillary's doing.
we do see that, absolutely.
You know,
As an adult, I'm getting help
Fortunately.
from her
Right.
and from the person that, the other person hired. So, the people that you hired, you can slap yourself on the back, because it really shows. I'm very happy.
That's all I had, but if you wanna continue.
No,
the
sir,
discussion on it.
no.
All right, we're opening up this new thing now, so are there any other public comments? Seeing none, I would take a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?